I love purity. I know it's not, I wouldn't seem like I would, but I really do. I like rules mainly because I like to know how to break them.
Yes.
You know, I do. It's so much fun to break a rule, but it's not as fun unless you,
Right.
you know you're breaking a rule. That's one of the reasons why I love ballet so much, because it's so specific, and yet you have to be able to have a box of crayons in your head and shade it. Now we've moved into this sort of nebulous world of contemporary dance, and everybody is kind of trying to figure out really what it is or what it isn't. And when you deal with pure techniques in training dancers, my question when I'm thinking about ballet is, how does this serve you? Like, chances are you might not end up being a ballet dancer. Most kids now want to, dance with complexion. They want to do, contemporary dance. So you're not going to be using this in this context. So I have to figure out a way to make this make sense in the world that you want to use it in. How do you do that with Horton?
Well, one of the things I do is I teach the studies with as much purity and clarity as I can. I don't deviate from the studies as I learn them, but I always give combinations of movement towards the end of class that incorporate the Horton vocabulary. And I never give the same combination twice.
Really?
Yes, really.
You know how long she's been teaching? That is incredible.
It's always different. And sometimes the students say, "Oh, we love that combination. Can we do it again?" I say, "No, we cannot do it again. You better hit it now
Right. And quit it, because you'll never see it again."
But I also like to talk to the students about dance as being speech, about being a conversation, that you're not just doing one step and then doing another step. The transitions matter, musicality matters, but that you also have to connect movement. And if you only teach the studies, there have been teachers who've done that, who've only taught the studies, never gave combinations of movement, never gave the dancers an opportunity to use, say, a lateral T under a different circumstance than a balance study. Then you're not training dancers, you're training people who can do studies.
Right.
And I've seen it a few times here over the years. The students from the very beginning, from beginners class, they are doing 16 count combinations across the floor. You have to build that. You have to say, okay, now we're going to do this movement across the floor. Now we're going to do this movement. And now we're going to put the two of them together. And that's really important, so that when they come up against a choreographer who, for instance, wants to do improv, wants you to improv a phrase, inevitably some little Horton thing will show up. How did you incorporate? How'd you
make that happen?
And they can do that because they've had all of these circumstances.
Right. And they have to learn to think.
Right. And connect.
Yeah. Like, for me, it's like, I always say it's like building blocks, like A, B, C, D, cat, see the dog run. Then you build sentences. And so words don't mean anything unless you put them in a context. So, and I've seen this too, where students can do a beautiful class, like they look good either at bar and they may look good like in center, but when they start to move across the floor, their lack of understanding how to move through the technique through space just doesn't exist. And it's not that they're badly trained, it's just that they haven't been taught to think that way. Like, what would happen if? And that's what your combinations are. It's like, what would happen if we put this next to that?
Right.
And that in this amount of time. How do you do that? And so it's really important. So that actually goes into the contemporary thing, because it's just like saying, okay, that's not really a lateral T. It's like a lateral T with a twist.
Yes, right.
But I know how to get to a lateral T, and now I can figure out the twist, because I can think and move.
Right, because we did a twist at some other place.
Right, you know what a twist is, and you know how, because there's sort of a sensibility. It's like it's almost like grammar.
Oh yes, it's vocabulary.
Yeah,
it's vocabulary.
It's the
yes.
grammar and vocabulary.
You put a verb and an adjective,
Right.
and then you put
Right.
an adverb, and then you put the adjective with the noun. Yes,
Right, and it's just learning how, and so like contemporary dance would be like learning how to speak another language.
Yes.
You have to, okay, that, now the negative goes in front of or it goes behind, but you're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Deep.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But when you're teaching any technique, whether it's ballet or Horton or Graham or jazz, you're talking about very similar ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the lines and the shapes may be different. You may be turned out as opposed to parallel, but you're talking about learning movements,
Mm-hmm.
and you talk about transitions between movements, and you're talking about dynamics, and you're talking about musicality, and these are
moving through space.
all
like,
the
it's
ingredients
all the same.
that we are talking about.
It's all.
Yes.
I always say that ballet is like the Latin root
Mm-hmm.
of, I guess we can call it like Western dance in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's like there are tributaries coming off of it, but if you put your leg behind you, it's sort of like everybody gets that as arabesque. You go everywhere, right. It's just arabesque. It could be parallel, it could be whatever, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And you just learn how to speak with a different dialect or intonation or whatever. And I think that's what's so fascinating about it, because the body is universal. People have all these like high ideas about like, oh, I'm this or you're that, and it's you have two arms and two legs.
That's right. There's only so many ways the body can move.
You're turning around, you're jumping.
Yes, right. That's
And
right.
it is what it is. Is there anything else that you would like to add? This is such a delicious conversation.
It will go on.
It will. I know our conversation will go on. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
If you have any questions, please write me, let me know. This is the first of the Teachers Talking series, and I hope to bring you more fabulous masters and their ideas and concepts about dance and teaching and the body, because perspectives are important, and we are in the studios with the people that we're in the studios with, but there's so many different ways of looking at it and getting there that so I hope this helped, and thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.